Well, first we're going to talk auto. Uh,
Okay,
uh, that's the way I wrote it down on my sheet here.
perfect. We'll follow it. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. So same thing that we talked about on the home related to high deductibles. You want to make sure that you have the highest possible deductibles for your comp and collision. So for most customers, it's a minimum of 1,000, depending on the type of cars they have and in their other, youthful kids and stuff like that. They'd either have 2,500 or $5,000 collision deductibles. And again, what you're telling the insurance company is, hey, if this car is totaled and it's an expensive car, yes, we'll want insurance to cover for it. If it's a fender bender type thing, I'm not going to use insurance for that. There's a caveat to that though. So if a person calls me up and says, "Hey, just got an auto accident," I'm going to find out, were they at fault? And super common fender benders in parking lots. If they hit a parked car and no one was in the other car, and let's say it's $5,000 of damage to each vehicle, we're going to tell that client to pay that out of pocket. Don't go through insurance to fix their car, and don't go through insurance to fix the other car. Hopefully, they left a note or somehow got a hold of the other party. Same scenario, same accident, same type of damage. If there's another person in the car that they hit and they're at fault, then we're going to say, let's use insurance. And all we're doing there is protecting them. If this person in 2 years' time, right before the statute of limitations comes up, sends them a note and says, hey, remember when you hit me in the parking lot 2 years ago? My neck hurts and I've been unable to work during these last 2 years. And here's my big lawsuit against you. If that client paid that claim out of pocket and there's no paper trail, there's no records, there's no information at all on it, becomes a lot harder to defend than if we have a very good clean accident report and shows that there's no way that this is possible what this person's claiming. A lot easier to defend that particular claim. So small claim, no one else in the other car, don't go through insurance. Small claim, someone else is in the other car, then unfortunately you got to use insurance just to protect your future exposure if that pops back at you. But there's
Okay.
other things you can do on your car coverage to make sure that it's optimized for you. So if your car is worth less than $10,000, and especially if you have like youthful kids or you have tickets or those types of things, I would consider not carrying physical damage. So don't carry comp and collision on that car. If you think about it, it's a 10K max loss. You're going to have a deductible that would apply, either $1,000 or $2,500. And if you're paying, let's say, upwards of $1,000 a year to insure a max $9,000 loss, that's just not a good use of premium dollars there. So we'd recommend in those instances you self-insure that car for physical damage, but of course you carry liability on any vehicle that you're using. If you do get a ticket, go to traffic school. Even if it's your only ticket that you've had, by going to traffic school, you can keep it off your record. And again, if this is your only ticket, it's not going to have a huge bearing on it, but who knows what those next 3 years are going to be. You don't want to have two tickets on your record.
Yeah.
And if you didn't take care of the first one, then it's too late to do so. Ensure that discounts like your good student discount, good driver discount, that you're getting all those available discounts. Agreed value is a great coverage provision to have, especially if you have either a well-maintained car that may be worth more than like your typical Kelley Blue Book, or it's an expensive car. What all agreed value is setting the value of the loss beforehand, rather than haggling over something afterwards if it was on a actual cash value basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure you have your policy allows for original equipment manufacturer or OEM parts. You don't want to, crash your Ferrari and have them say, we'll just take it to, Joe's salvage yard for a refurbished part on that car.
Yeah.
Make sure you have worldwide liability coverage for rentals. If you are traveling overseas, then buy the physical damage coverage because it's likely your policy won't extend to any damage to that rental car vehicle. The US, it's a little different. Most policies will cover that. And then this is something we commonly see with our business owners is making sure the name on the title of the car matches the name on the policy. So sometimes people will buy vehicles in their business name or in an LLC, and that's got to match the name on the policy. If not, if you just imagine a claim where your car's totaled, what happens when your car's totaled? The insurance company is going to get the car and get the title from you and attempt to salvage it. And I've read of claims where, you buy the car in your business name, you insure it on your personal policy, everyone can see you're insuring this car, this VIN number, so forth. But when the vehicle's totaled and you turn it in as a total loss to the insurance company along with the title and it doesn't match, that insurers could deny that claim because they weren't insuring that entity. There's all the auto tips. Questions at all on that one?
Yeah. I think I always think about like high end cars, right? So like
Yep.
I'm a huge Porsche fan, and
Yep.
like GT3s and stuff like that are 300, $400,000 cars. And
Yep.
while it's a distant dream of mine to maybe drive or even have one of those in my garage someday, like what carriers are covering that kind of car? Because it's hard to find that car. It's, you spent, there's a lot of love and attention that gets put into the details and selecting out that car and then driving it and the memories and all that. So like what carriers are covering those cars, and are there any differences with how they do it compared to like Haggerty? You hear Haggerty is like kind of the car club enthusiast insurance company, but is that always the case, right? Like what makes them special, I guess, or what makes Pure different? I don't know.
Yeah. So great questions. And we actually had this come up with a client who bought said car that you're talking about. So
Yeah.
it was a 2024 that they purchased the car. So 2-year-old car. They paid 300 grand for it. And when we got the policy back from the carrier, so we added it and so forth, the carrier had put an agreed value of 197,000 on it. So I don't know where the disconnect happened. But we went back to the carrier and said, hey, you got to fix this. But that could have been a massive, again, that's why that agreed value is a great provision, because it says, hey, this is what it would cost to replace this car. This is what you paid for it. This is what it's worth. And you're eliminating that haggling that can come afterwards if we didn't have that agreed value provision. So absolutely, companies like Pure, Chubb, Cincinnati, AIG would be considered, the top tiers for those types of vehicles. For ones that are, I would call more daily drivers, they're great. Haggerty works great for a car that doesn't get used very often. So think more of a classic car that maybe you drive a couple weekends a month or so forth. And they do the same things with agreed value. Haggerty, and I should probably look into it and know. I know that, and actually I have Haggerty for myself, but it's designed for vehicles that aren't going to get driven on a regular basis.
Okay.
Would be how Haggerty would get used. So something like this Porsche that my client had, Chubb is the more appropriate insurance for that, just because it's part of it's a regular driven car by him.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think my family's had a number of older cars throughout the years, and we did use them. But again, they were cars we drove, once a year, twice a year, very rarely, and just kind of more like to an event, away from an event, kind of thing. So cool,
Yeah,
good to know. Because yeah, if you have a Porsche, you should be driving it, and if you're not, call me and I'll come drive it for you.
exactly. Yeah, you got to put it through its paces. So